7 candidates for the AFD, the Nationalist Party, which now leads in German election polling, have died suddenly ahead of the September 14th local elections there. This followed repeated warnings from the City of London's mouthpiece, The Economist magazine, that the surging popularity of Europe's nationalist parties threatens Europe's economic survival. The mainstream media, of course, are saying that Elon Musk and the leader of the AFD, Alice Weidel, are unhinged conspiracy mongers for saying that the spate of deaths is statistically impossible. But as usual, the media is dead wrong or worse. I'm Barbara Boyd, and I'm one of the authors of the ebook, A Police Dossier. It is the British who murder our presidents. In the ebook, we document the reasons why the British Empire arranged the killing of Abraham Lincoln, William McKinley, and John F. Kennedy, and why they have targeted Donald Trump. You can read it by going to the Promethean Action website and downloading it. You'll find the link in the description. Today, I'm going to first talk about what really happened between Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Narendra Modi in China last week, and how that relates to President Trump. Then I'm going to develop how Europe is turning to violent fascism and what that has to do with these deaths. Finally, I'll detail how this fits with Trump's shooting war against the drug cartels and the dark money economy, which is the only thing keeping the City of London's financial houses afloat. So let's get started. I want to contrast first a couple of statements for you. Here is a wildly misinterpreted post by Donald Trump, which he put on Truth Social Friday. It reads, "Looks like we've lost India and Russia to deepest, darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together." Signed, President Donald J. Trump. At Russia's Economic Forum in Vladivostok Friday, Vladimir Putin was quick to respond, emphasizing Russia's interest in constructive relations with Washington. He said, and I quote, "The two-headed eagle, one of our national symbols, looks both ways." He said, "Did we turn our backs on anyone? We did not. The eagle looks both ways, just like always." Putin added that Moscow sees potential in trilateral investment projects with the U.S. and China in the Arctic and other joint development endeavors. Then, the head of Russia's Sovereign Wealth Fund and close Putin advisor, Kirill Dmitriev, posted this on his X account and his Instagram accounts, even taking a poll of his readers as to which format they preferred. What you see in Dmitriev's cartoon is the 4 major economic powers in the world, Russia, China, India, and the United States, which have the combined economic power and potential to end the reign of the modern British financial empire once and for all. Dmitriev contrasted that with a cartoon of just Russia, China, and India, without the United States, the picture of discussions in China painted by the British media. In his poll, the 4 powers won, obviously. The lords of the City of London know that these 4 countries getting together spells their doom. In their 2018 House of Lords report, UK Foreign Policy in a Shifting World Order, they targeted these 4 countries as primary targets for their interventions. Interventions meant to keep them fighting each other in one way or the other. Gradually, at this point in history, however, this new alliance is being born. The Russians see this. I believe Trump sees it too. The problem in each country consists of internal political forces who are stuck in the old dynamic of forever wars and division, but these dinosaurs wield political power through their entrenched constituencies. I think that Trump, in his Truth Social post about losing India and Russia to China, was making fun of his warmongers, particularly those in the U.S. Senate. Otherwise, the Trump administration this week moved to end funding of the armed forces of Eastern European countries on Russia's border and refused to issue the further sanctions on Russia the Europeans had demanded. He told the Europeans to stop buying Russian gas and to sanction China for supporting Russia in the Ukraine war. He knows the Europeans, still dependent on Russian gas and on Chinese manufacturing, will do neither. In remarks Friday afternoon at the White House, Trump reiterated that peace in the Ukraine war was going to get done, that Europe now wants the war to end, and that while neither side is ready just yet, he expects, and I quote, that it will come together very quickly. Just you watch. Now, all the countries of Europe are heading straight into a financial collapse, and it's of their own making. Their green energy and deindustrialization agenda and open border immigration policies did them in. They're also facing the fact that if they want the Ukraine war to continue, they're going to have to fund it and fight it themselves. The United States is no longer their fool. That's the strategic context in which the 7 sudden deaths of AFD candidates occurred. The AFD is seen as pro-Russian and anti-Ukraine war. We can't really say now whether foul play is involved. But ever since the detective works of our own Edgar Allan Poe, we know that visualizing the mind and motives of the potential killer always solves the mystery. Europe is collapsing. Its elites hate their populations. They have imposed outright bans on speech and discussion, which reduce human beings to the status of cattle. They openly advocate Malthusian policies of war, famine, and disease to cull the herd. Covert assassination happens to individuals who get out of line. I'm reminded that Robert Fico, the Prime Minister of Slovakia, was nearly killed by an assassin just last year for opposing the Ukraine war. In Germany, London has always acted when threatened. In 1989, Deutsche Bank's chairman, Alfred Haushausen, was assassinated shortly after the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union began collapsing. Haushausen was a major German government advisor who proposed using expansive credit to develop former East Bloc countries, starting with Poland. He also campaigned to forgive outstanding Third World debt. The well-placed American spy, Colonel L. Fletcher Prouty, compared the motives for the Haushausen assassination to the Kennedy assassination here. It was meant to send a message. The British intended to loot the collapsed Soviet states and to continue to use debt as a weapon of enslavement. Haushausen needed to go. A similar message seems to be being sent now to the AFD. When it comes to the topic of political assassination, there is no one better than us. We have studied it for decades. Sign up for Promethean Action's newsletter now so you don't miss out on the coverage. Now, on Tuesday, the U.S. Navy blew up a boat carrying a load of drugs off the coast of Venezuela. President Trump had issued executive orders back in January when he first took office, designating the drug cartels as terrorist organizations. He noted that they intended the violent deaths of our nation's citizens, and particularly our youth. In 2021, more people died from fentanyl and other drugs than died in every war since World War II. The BBC instantly condemned the operation as a violation of international law, and so did the Democrats here. Again, that's a defense of British interests. The movie Spider's Web, Britain's Second Empire, details how the City of London was built as a modern financial power. It is principally dependent on a City of London base coordinating an offshore spider's web of secrecy jurisdictions which launder hot money of all sorts. That includes drug money, weapons and human trafficking money, as well as the corrupt proceeds earned by various wealthy individuals and political figures through both crime and tax avoidance. That's the center of British intelligence blackmail operations, not anything associated with the minor crook Jeffrey Epstein. Trump's declaration of a real drug war aimed at supply means the U.S. won't just be blowing up airplanes and boats, it will be targeting and prosecuting the financial institutions involved. Trump's takeover of our failing cities is also meant to destroy the drug trade networks there. It's not only the City of London which will end up being a major target here, it's also the Federal Reserve, which is supposed to enforce the Bank Secrecy Act. The Fed has failed utterly to do this. U.S. banks moved $324 billion just in Chinese drug money alone through the banks from 2020 to 2024, according to Yahoo News. Trump's devotion to building the productive identity of Americans again through his industrial, manufacturing, and scientific renaissance will also destroy the pessimism at the root of present widespread drug use. Now, the British Empire used opium to subjugate China and India in the past. Their most recent target has been us right here in the United States. So the AFD deaths and this week's deployments and developments highlight our present choice. The dying British financial empire is deploying its old, ugly playbook: assassination, mind-killing propaganda and censorship, financial warfare, and manufactured chaos, all to maintain its stranglehold on humanity. But their desperate acts now only signal just how weak they actually are. Now is the time for all of us to organize and boldly march Donald Trump's economic and peace agenda to victory. We finally have a leader putting it all on the line, and it's clear that we can both win and protect him if we join him in doing so. This is not a time for sunshine patriots or endless armchair commentary about the news or the latest scandal to hit the internet. Get out and help us organize now. Join us in building the movement which can secure the midterms for the president and the Congress. Go to the website and sign up for our free newsletter or become a paying subscriber. The link is in the description. I'll see you again on Monday. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks for watching. Please take a moment and subscribe to our free newsletter at prometheanaction.com.